Hey guys, it's Heather Mack. Just here to talk to you a little bit about some implementation expectations as far as the learning continuum is concerned for this upcoming school year, 2018-19. Hopefully, you're aware that there is a learning continuum. We spent last school year developing a learning continuum in the core content areas, grades kindergarten through 8th grade. So thus far, we have 5 learning continua: K-8 math, K-8 reading, K-8 writing, K-8 science, and K-8 social studies. And if you recall from our professional development last school year, you remember that a learning continuum consists of measurement topics, which we developed last year, learning targets, which we developed last year, and proficiency scales, which were not developed last year. So the focus on the learning continuum at the district level for this school year will be finishing out those drafted continuum. We'll be drafting proficiency scales and learning progressions in K-8. We will also start building a K-12 Unified Arts learning continuum. That work starts late fall. And we also will be working with the high school folks, 9-12, to start building their learning continuum. So lots of continuum work going on at the district level. But as far as you're concerned, kindergarten through 8th grade, you're probably wondering, what's expected of you? You have the continuum, but how do you interact with it? And what do you need to be doing? What should you be doing? What could you be doing? The point of this video is to hopefully answer some of those questions, ease some of your concerns, and just give you the information that you need to move into this school year with ease and clarity. So we crafted this document for you, just spelled out some expectations and responsibilities so you could have some guidance on what you needed to do. Responsibility number 1, become familiar with the measurement topics and the learning targets. Look at the grade level that you teach. If you're a 3rd grade teacher, make sure you know what your measurement topics and learning targets are, but you also probably want to look a grade ahead, 4th grade, and a grade below, 2nd grade, because we all know we have learners in our class who stretch at each end, who need a little advancement and who need a little remediation. So make sure that you know what critical learning targets are on the continuum for the grade level and the content that you teach. And then responsibility number 2, teach them. Make sure that when you're planning units of instruction, that those critical standards on the continuum are embedded in your instruction. Certainly there's other standards you're going to teach, and we expect you to teach all of them, but make sure that those critical standards have an emphasis and a focus in your instruction. And then that couples responsibility number 3. As you're teaching those critical standards on the learning continuum, make sure that you're assessing those critical learning standards. Remember, critical learning standards are those that are taught and assessed. You're still teaching all of your content standards, but you're hyper-focused on those learning targets that are on the continuum. Those targets are what is taught and assessed. And then make sure when we're talking about responsibility 3 that we pay attention to the end of that. Critical learning targets with the intentions of all students having opportunity to achieve mastery. We're not just teaching, assessing, and moving on, irregardless of the outcome of learning. If there's a child who takes a little longer to achieve mastery, what are we doing to make sure that that child has the opportunity to continue to engage with that learning target until they've demonstrated sufficient competency or proficiency with that target? So then responsibility number 4, let's start to think about assessment. You probably have some department common team assessments that you've created, or grade level common assessments that you use. Start to look at those assessments this year, excuse me, and look at those assessments up against the learning continuum. Are those critical learning standards that are on the continuum, are those being assessed in your assessments? If not, here's an opportunity to do some assessment revision or just think differently about how we assess. And remember, assessment doesn't have to be just paper pencil test or standards mastery or, whatever. Think about other evidence gathering modalities that students could use to demonstrate their level of mastery. Now, when we start to build the proficiency scales and the learning progressions this school year with the steering committee, we'll consider things like depth of knowledge and rigor, and obviously those will pair to assessment. So all of that work is forthcoming, but we also want you to be mindful of the assessments that you're giving, and do those assessments line up with the learning continuum. And then responsibility number 5 is simply just to lean into the work this year. You're going to have ongoing PD this year in your buildings that's focused on the learning continuum. This is an opportunity to just really roll up your sleeves and lean into the work. In the session that you're going to engage in today with your instructional coach, you're going to hopefully see the marriage between the learning continuum and universal design for learning and how mastery is infused into all of that. That's going to be the focus of PD for this year. Mastery, UDL, learning continuum. Hopefully throughout the course of this year, you'll start to see how all 3 of those kind of French braid together and exist cohesively with one another. So responsibility number 5 is just engage, be present, be a learner yourself, ask questions if you're unsure, and just experience with the continuum and engage with it as much as you can, as often as you can. There will be support structures in place, obviously, for you throughout the year. Your instructional coach is an invaluable resource. But we just kind of wanted to give you a quick overview of what some of the expectations for the school year were. Again, with the intention of promoting some clarity and being transparent and hopefully easing some concerns. So again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. And we hope you have a great year.